Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. My name is Zach Starr. It's a great Friday here on the show. It's a special edition of the show as well with the guests coming in a little bit. But first of all, Gavin, do you know what today is?
Nah, what today is? What is
I
it?
wonder what it is. Not to pat yourself on the back, I'll do it for you. It is Gavin's birthday today. It is a very exciting show. We are once again together. It is our Friday. We're both behind the white screen. We're both together here, so everything should go well. Gavin, again, happy birthday to you. I'm sure a lot of our viewers wish you it as well. How's it feel, man?
Feel old. I woke up this morning and I heard a couple cracks. Didn't really sound too pleasant.
Oh boy.
And I'm only 17, so I don't know. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here with everybody and celebrate my birthday with the viewers and talk some sports. And we got the GOAT debate today, so we're not talking, we're arguing today.
It's gonna be one of those days. So, I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that Gavin and I are in the same room during this debate. But let's get started with it then. Our first discussion today lies within the NBA, talking about Zion Williamson. He has reportedly lost 25 pounds of what they call fat and added on 10 pounds of muscle. So, Gavin, I'll let you kick it off. First of all, do you believe it? And second of all, do you think the potential rookie of the year can carry the Pelicans?
Well, I don't think he's rookie of the year. I think John Morant deserves it. Let's get that out the way, and I'll come back to that first. Do I believe Zion's weight loss? Yes. They've been trying to get Zion to lose weight because he's pure muscle and weight. They're trying to change his walk, which I never heard of that before. I never knew you could change someone's walk. Yeah, Zach, maybe you can tell me about that. But let me get back to the point. I do believe in Zion's weight loss. I think Zion's going to come back maybe even quicker. Maybe it'll save his knees a little bit. Zion's a high flyer. But I was never really worried about Zion's knees to begin with. He's young. I know he does a lot of high flying. That takes a toll. And you look like a guy at Derrick Rose. The Pelicans are going to do anything they can to preserve Zion Williamson the best way they can. So how are they going to do it? They're going to make him lose weight. They're going to try to change his walk. They're going to try to change his run. Did you know you could do that? I didn't know you could do that. Zach, what did you think? You know you could do that?
Something new. His walk has been kind of mocked before on meme pages and social media as we are in this modern day of seeing all that. I buy it. There have been some pictures that comes out. He looks good. He looks like a good player. One thing that Gavin, you bring this up a lot when we're talking about Michael Jordan's era versus LeBron James' era, in that it's a softer NBA today. It's much softer, and Zion really exposing that the way that he bodies guys inside. He's not that tall. He's what, 6'9", 6'10", somewhere up there. He's not 7'2" like Joel or anything like that. He's smaller for the power forward position. He's just a little bit bigger in the thickness size, and so similar to Shaquille O'Neal, but much shorter. So, Zion's been on a tear. Is he potentially the rookie of the year? I don't think so. Playing 19 games is not enough. I value consistency more, but I think that at the same time we have to really look at the elements as far as what a player brings to the table. And Zion, really, this is a question now: can they go to the playoffs? Can he be the leader on that team? Again, it's not just him. You have guys like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, etc. So, Gavin, do you think that they can end up making a playoff, going to the playoffs?
There's a possibility. I remember Philly, our great friend on the show, Philly. He made a comment that saying NBA execs are pushing for Zion and LeBron first round duel. But remember, they got to jump over, the Trailblazers, and John Morant has to lose games. They purposely rigged it where John Morant will have a harder schedule. And personally, I don't think that John Morant will, have a hard time making the playoffs. I don't think the Pelicans can jump over two teams at all. I don't believe the Pelicans can. I'm not saying the Pelicans are bad, but I don't think you got to jump over the Trailblazers and you got to hope the Grizzlies lose games. So I don't know about that.
No, it's tough. This team in the future is definitely one that is potentially going to be good. But I think right now they're not there yet. They are a good team. They are talented. They're a team that really can go out and show up. But we spoke about this before, Gavin, talking about the Anthony Davis trade. There was a lot of pieces moving, and specifically we point out the players. I think for all the players involved in that trade were benefiting substantially. AD did not want to stay in New Orleans. He went out to LA, and he's now on a potential championship contender. And then you take a look at guys like Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and now they're all surrounded with Zion Williamson and Derek Favors. That's a good team. It's potentially going to be a good team in the future. This year is not the year. Still have Drew Holiday, still have the experience of J.J. Redick. Fun fact, though, J.J. Redick has never missed a playoff since his rookie season, so that might be
Magic and
Clippers. With the Magic, Lob City era with the Sixers, and now in New Orleans, they could make it. They could make a push, but I like the Grizzlies. They were starting to slide a little bit, but yes, it's definitively obvious that John Morant is not necessarily better. They're different players. They're a forward versus a guard, and so they're different players. And I think that, frankly, it's a different position. Like you're saying they're better one-on-one things like that. It's not gonna read too well. But at the same time, I still think that Ja Morant, without a question, is Rookie of the Year. Now, if Gavin, here's a question for you: if Zion was here from the beginning of the year and maintained his consistency, do you think that he would be able to be Rookie of the Year with his current stats?
Well, I was literally about to answer the same question. I think Zion would have been in the playoffs. I also think the Grizzlies would have been. I think Zion would have been a 7th seed, and the Grizzlies still would have been the 8th seed. Zion missed a good month of the season, month or 2 months maybe. Came back around after Christmas, and to come back and to play. And they're on the outside looking in. It's not bad. They got invited to the bubble. That's cool. I do believe they might have been in the playoffs, maybe a little bit higher than what I said they were going to be. But as of right now, I think where the Pelicans are will be where they will end at the end of the year.
How about next year? Looking forward, what do you think the Pelicans look like next year with a fully healthy Zion? I believe they're going to keep Derek Favors at the 5. They like that piece. And then guys like Lonzo Ball, you expect to continue to develop his three-point shooting substantially better. This year, you're expecting Drew Holiday to start at the 2 again. Brandon Ingram, who's one of my top candidates for most improved player of the year besides guys like Jason Tatum and a few others. Brandon Ingram, I think, is definitely a up-and-coming star in this league. They're going to have to sign him after this year. You're going to start talking about money down there. Situation. They're short of a few draft picks, so they're going to really need to start really solidifying that team. So what's the outlook, do you think, Gavin, for the Pelicans moving on?
I think, well, first of all, I do believe it's a fully healthy Zion. It could be a 6 seed. It could be 5 and under or 5 and above. I don't think they're the top team in the West, but I think they could be in the playoffs. Like I said, a fully healthy Zion, as you saw with Duke, they were on a tear. Zion obviously breaks his shoes, which is another player we've never seen that do.
It's really weird. That was early in the UNC game, right?
Yeah,
I remember watching that.
And then they just fell off completely. So I believe that the Zion and next year the Pelicans will look well. You know what wouldn't surprise me either? When they get a star to play with Zion Williamson and you join a young core like that. I'm not talking like a
what position? Like a shooting guard position or
maybe even a center? Maybe?
I think shooting guard and center are the two areas they can improve. I like Lonzo Ball where he is. Brandon Ingram, obviously, I love
Jackson
where he
Hayes
is.
has a lot to prove still.
Mm-hmm.
But I think honestly, this Pelicans team down the road, there's only 2 teams in my eyes at the moment in the Western Conference that are set for like next year and years to come. I think it's the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. More Pelicans because they have a little bit more than what the Grizzlies had, but you can't count out the dynamic duo that was in Memphis. So we have to wait and see. I'm interested to see what's going to go down.
I agree. And so here's another question to throw a curveball at you. If the Pelicans next year were in the Eastern Conference, where would they be in the standings?
Well, the East is weak. You got to look at the top teams in the East right now. You know, Boston, Philadelphia. I don't know if they're top 5. I think they're 6.
6 right now.
Boston, you got the Heat or somewhere. They're 7th, I think. 7 or 5.
The Heat are the 4th seed right now.
The 4th, okay. Sorry. No, it's not with me right now. But if they would, I think they might be the 5th seed and up because that's how the East is. Like the Sixers should be the 5th seed and up, but things happen. Injuries happen. You lose games. You fall back. They're only 6th seed. I still think they. Look, we already know. LeBron proved that the East is light. All right, the East is light work. If you want to go easily, go to the East. If you want to extra some competition, go to the West. If the Pelicans win the East, I think they'll be a 5th seed or 6th seed and up.
And the final question on this topic: who has a better record next year, the Pelicans or Gavin, your Golden State Warriors?
You're asking me to count out Steph Curry.
I didn't say count out. No, you can say they had a better. You can say they have a better record.
They probably will have a better record.
The Warriors will.
The Warriors will have a better record because you get Steph Curry back full year, hopefully, and you get Klay Thompson back. Klay Thompson is a bigger piece than what everybody thinks. And fun fact, the only true center the Warriors ever had that was actually like a name brand?
Andrew Bogut, right?
You could say Andrew Bogut, but you could also say DeMarcus Cousins. But DeMarcus Cousins was not DeMarcus Cousins as we always know of. So I think they get Jonathan Wiseman. I think that's his son's name.
James Wiseman.
James Wiseman. And then they go on from there. So you got. I think the Warriors have a better record. I think the Warriors will go back in the top 5 in the West.
I would argue top 3. The Rockets are just trying to hold together with Band-Aids until they just rip apart. And I love James Harden. And I think Russell Westbrook's a good facilitator. But that team really doesn't have any clear picture moving forward. It sucks when they were the 1 seed when Chris Paul got hurt. But no, I think the Warriors are going to be a really good team next year. I'm pretty high on the Warriors right now. Not only do you have the best backcourt in NBA history, arguably, but you have a role-playing small forward like Andrew Wiggins, and then it's not Kevin Durant, but maybe now is Steph Curry's time to prove it is his team. Assuming you keep Draymond Green, and then if you get James Wiseman, that's a really good starting five. And Gavin, the entire bench this year got starting experience, right? You think of Eric Pascal out of Villanova and a few other players that they kept. They did get rid of Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson when they traded the Sixers. An interesting move for that. But they're going to be a good team next year. They're going to be a really talented team, and they have experience, and that's what matters the most. As long as Andrew Wiggins is willing to work for it, unlike in Minnesota. But maybe we'll shift over to Minnesota quickly before we shift to our next topic.
Real quick, the talk. There's been a lot of talk. It's not confirmed. We don't know yet. But if Giannis doesn't win this year, he could be going to Golden State. Oh boy, I would love that. I would love it. I think the league will be ruined again, as everyone so cried about. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, they won 3 out of 4. Remember that when Kevin Durant was there, they won.
Who they lose to?
Oh, they won 2.
Who did the Warriors lose to?
They lost to,
in one of those 4 finals. Was it?
They lost.
It was a team from Ohio, Cleveland. The Cavs.
Why are you doing this today?
Who's on the Cavs? LeBron James?
Yeah,
LeBron James.
That's not the point that we're doing that right now.
I asked you about Minnesota, and you wanted to keep talking about Golden State.
No,
so.
come on, let's go.
All right, finally, the final part of this segment, the Timberwolves, who actually started off rather good this year. They got D'Angelo Russell. For those who forget, they also got rid of Andrew Wiggins in that trade. So, Gavin, do you think the Timberwolves have any chance of returning to the playoffs next year?
No, I do not. I don't believe in Karl-Anthony Towns. I think Karl-Anthony Towns has settled for what he's had before, and I don't see him pushing any better. I will say this. D'Angelo Russell's a great player. I don't think he deserved to lose or leave Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn was the perfect spot, as we said multiple times before on the show. I also believe that if you look at how the Timberwolves were made, they don't have anybody else to really name about. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, okay, that's cool. But
Not much else, yeah.
Who else is outside of that? But Jimmy Butler said it best. They're soft. Jimmy Butler took them into the playoffs versus the Rockets, had to beat the Rockets to go in there, and then to lose to the Rockets, and he was the only one doing anything in that whole series. I think the Timberwolves are one of the teams where you look at it and you're like, how did you not do anything? Just how? And I'm going to continue to say how. Minnesota will be far from time since we've seen. I don't think they're in it next year either.
No, I agree. There's not much there. I don't know what they're going to do. They may have to fully reboot at some point. They're trying to make one last run with Karl-Anthony Towns by bringing in a guy like D'Angelo Russell. I mean, obviously it's not going to happen, so I hope not. But Ben Simmons would be a really nice fit with a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns, a true shooting center. But I would like to keep Ben Simmons on the Sixers. So our next part, talking about the Eastern Conference here now, about the Boston Celtics. I talked a lot on the show about how I think they're the perfect team as far as positional players are concerned, with the true point guard and the shooting guard and the small forward, power forward, center. I think that's a really well put together team. I don't think they're a championship contender maybe yet. They did really have great games against the Lakers and Clippers this year. So, Gavin, let me ask you this question about the Boston Celtics up in the other garden, which actually have respect to their name, unlike the New York Knicks right now. So, how do you feel about Boston?
I like Boston's chance, especially in this year's playoffs. You said they're probably the best well-rounded team in the whole entire NBA when it comes to everybody. You got to look at what people have, what people don't have, and you look at this team. They got everybody is a great start. You got Jaylen Brown, you got Kevin Walker, is Gordon Hayward a starter? I can't remember, but I think he is.
I think he just started the 4th.
I did. So, and then you also got Jason Tatum, and then you got a role-playing center.
You 2 guys you can change in there. Enes Kanter and Daniel Tice, who
I like Enes Kanter a little more than Daniel Tice. Defensively at least. Then you got Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens outcoached Brett Brown many times. Made Brett Brown look like a fool. I know we can agree on that. But Brad Stevens also is like a defensive-minded coach as well. You also got to think about Marcus Smart coming off the bench too. Who else they got coming off the bench? You could put. They
did have Marcus Morris at one point. He's now with the Clippers.
You could also argue with having Carson Edwards. I don't know if he's joining the team for that. And also he's not. And you also got Taco Falls. I know Taco Falls. someone
You're high on him. You think they're hiding him for the playoff? I don't. You've been saying this for a few days now. I haven't went out of my way to correct you on that. But you think they're going to be putting Taco Fall in the playoffs, or he's going to be like, I don't know, man.
I want to read out this one comment. Canner is putting salt in the paint. Yeah. So all right. So you're right. You're probably right. So, but what about rebounder though? I think
that's what they need from that position.
That's what they need.
They don't need a big post-up
guy. They don't really need him like a good defender. But I think when it comes to rebound, Mr. Justin, I think that's where Enes Kanter shines the most.
I think so. That's what they need. They have a lot of everybody on that team outside of that 5-shot position are pretty confident in making that last shot. I'd say Jaylen Brown actually did it against the Lakers. That was a crazy shot to go into OT. Obviously, Kemba Walker's his shooting's been continuing to improve. He's a great playmaking point guard, and he's a great in the locker room. I mean, Kyrie Irving's definitively better than him as a player, but as far as that team, how it works together, chemistry, we talked about this before when we talked about Brooklyn. Can Kyrie and KD make it work? I mean, what went wrong with him last year? Did they just run into the Bucks, or is Kyrie really that bad in the locker room where your team's not able to work to its full potential?
Could you say this? Because I know you said Kyrie Irving's a better player than Kemba Walker, right? I think you could argue against that. I think Kemba Walker might be a better player because when it comes to Kemba Walker, to be a great player, Zach, I think of these three things. One, obviously, your game.
Mm-hmm.
2, how you handle yourself on and off the court. And 3, how you connect well with your guys in the locker room.
That's a pretty big element of it. You're right.
You had Terry Rozier say, it wasn't as fun when Kemba Walker or when Kyrie Irving was there. And honestly, how does a team go from Game 7 in the conference finals without you
to losing to the Bucks?
Losing to the Bucks in the first round with you?
They swept the Pacers. Actually, swept the Pacers. Yep, swept the Pacers in the first round, and they lost to the Bucks in the second round.
I mean. So I guess you could tell always the knock about Kyrie Irving is his way how he carries himself in the locker room. I will say this. I'm gonna read this comment real quick. Yeah, elite rebounder, just no defense. The undersized, the rebound, their best. Okay, Robert Williams is probably Boston's best defender. That's true. So, but back to the point. I think Kyrie Irving is the only knock against Kyrie Irving is team play. Team play. I think team play makes is a lot of things. So Zach, I want to. So who do you think is better all around, Kemba Walker or Kyrie Irving?
Well, you brought up a good point. When I refer to player, I guess skill set would be the better term to use as far as his handles, his maybe not necessarily playmaking ability, but Kyrie I think is the better pure point guard, I'd say. But if you factor in the other elements, if that's your definition of player, Kemba Walker is the better player because he does more than Kyrie Irving did for that team.
Well, you're right. I think, and with Kemba Walker, they go deeper than what Kyrie Irving had with him. Remember, Kyrie Irving went to one playoffs for Boston. One. He was out the first year. And then Boston becomes this magical team. That year, they lose to LeBron.
Game 7.
Just to lose to the Warriors in the next round. I want you to hear that.
Team wasn't so great anyway. That's how good LeBron is.
Listen, but the GOAT talk is coming up. You can save it. And then finally this. And then I know we're going to bring a guest on. I wouldn't be surprised if Kemba Walker and us was somehow go to the finals this year. Would you?
Doesn't shock me at all. If the Bucks do collapse in the playoffs, no one's stopping Giannis on that team. But if they can put the offensive output out there, we're going to start forcing Giannis to maybe shoot outside. Or Brad Stevens is a great coach, so I'm curious what he could put up. Now, what if it's the Clippers versus the Celtics?
That'll be good.
Doc Rivers versus former team. Marcus Morris versus former team. I think there'd be some cool storylines.
That would be a great storyline. That or Lakers versus Boston would be a good one too.
I think so. Maybe next year, Nets versus the Lakers. I'm rooting for LeBron versus Kyrie. LeBron put him in his place. So, everybody, thanks so much for joining us for the first segment. Immediately following this, we are going to be bringing on our guest. We'll be speaking out a few different cool things as well. So, stay tuned. Right after this, with our guest. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's for those who haven't been keeping track. We are going to be donating this month to Shriners Hospital for Children. 5 days left on the donation. Some very great and exciting things moving forward, and we'll be announcing our next donation coming later here this month. But now we're bringing in our guests as well as bringing Gavin back in. Trent, it's an honor to have you on the show, man. We're pulling Gavin in now. We have a lot of entertaining things to discuss with you. I'll be kicking it off. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Cowboys today. So let's see the public chat nice, please, everybody. But we do have a Cowboys fan on today, so it's going to be exciting. We have some great questions to ask you. And then, Gavin, I know you want to talk about the Sixers. Got a little bit of Allen Iverson, showing some respect to one of the greatest players ever to be here in Philly, and then perhaps the best player. And then finally, today we are going to continue Gavin's favorite discussion, the GOAT debate. So, Trent, once again, absolute honor to have you on. How you doing today, man?
Good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Just two things. Happy birthday to my youngin' Gav, 17. When his birthday comes, I actually feel older than I am because I remember him as a baby. And the second thing is, man, I love what you guys are doing. It's a blessing to see just the young culture moving forward and talking about sports and really getting into the topics that everybody wants to hear. So shout out to you guys, man. Keep the movement going, man. I appreciate it. Salute y'all.
Thank you much. No, it's definitely appreciated. We're going to continue doing what we can to continue producing the content, continue to discuss sports. Again, Gavin and I spoke about this before, unity, especially in times like this in our country. So definitely great to have you on again. Great honor. So let's kick it off talking about Dallas. I'll let you you may want to sound off a little bit on the spot. We have plenty of time to talk about it. What do you think really went wrong for the boys in the big state this year? You able to hear us there, Trent?
He said he can't hear. Give us 1 second. Well, while we try to fix that, I'm gonna
Mike, I can't hear y'all.
So, while we try to fix that, I'm gonna go first. I think the problem was easily Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett was a problem in Dallas. I think Jason Garrett could not even coach the team well. You have all these young players around you guys. You have Dak Prescott. You have Zeke Elliott. You have everybody else, and you're telling me you couldn't make the buzz last year to a depleted Eagles team. You got to put the blame on Jason Garrett. Also, too, you put the blame on Zeke Elliott for not being healthy as it is. I know I'm an Eagles fan coming up real quick on a Cowboys fan, being a little unfair. But I will say this, though. I'm speaking facts. Your coach was bad. Zeke Elliott I want to say a little overweight, don't you think? A little, and not elusive like always. So let me ask you this, Zach, while we wait for our guest to come back and we can get him in on it. What do you think the Cowboys' main problem was? Like, if you could go in a room with Jerry Jones, which I know you don't want to, and say, Jerry, this is the problem, who would you say?
I'd say the inability to stick to the run. They have a really good first drive and then the team adjusts. And so for a young offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore this year, I think they really struggled to do what they could to adapt and change. They would score on the first drive of the game against teams like the Bears, and then they go quiet for a while, and then they come back later. They would pad the stats. So I think that for Dallas, they have to keep it slowed down. Also commit to the run. Take the pressure off Dak Prescott. He's a good young quarterback, but you're going to need to be able to run the ball.
Well, you're right. You're right about that. I also think too, you can also blame, and get this, you can blame Jerry Jones. I don't know how you can blame Jerry Jones, but there's a way you can blame Jerry Jones. And it's not even about last season, too. It's about this season coming up, because the same thing is going to happen. Here's why. First of all, we want to go back to last season, because that was the question originally. Last season, I think that the problem with Jerry Jones was he kept Jason Garrett way too long. He cannot keep a man of that along for that long that hasn't won a playoff game that much. Jason Garrett has 2 playoff wins? 2?
He's got a few up his sleeve.
But what else to show for it? So I mean, and then you want to blame Jason Garrett or not Jason, you want to blame Jerry Jones. We go back this year as Trent's back. You could also say that he's going to create a cap problem. It's going to be a problem for Mike McCarthy down the road. So Trent, back to the original question for you. What happened last season for the Cowboys?
think last season it's a young team. You got to remember that Dak's in his this is third or fourth year coming up. Young. Then we just got the talent on defense, which are young linebackers.
Sorry about that again, folks. Continuing to fix it here. Trent, we were unable to hear you, so just exit and return, and we'll get you right back in. Folks, we do apologize for that as we continue to progress through the show. Definitely going to be fixing some bugs. But no, definitely, I agree with you, Gavin. I mean, you're right. Zeke lost a step last year in his game. He definitely looked like he put on some weight. Some different guys like Tony Pollard are definitely some big factors there as well. So I think that it's unfortunate for them. They signed a guy onto a big contract and things like that. And I think it's just unfortunate how it went down for them this year. And I mean, is Zeke really worth the money? I mean, Gavin, you go first. We continue to fix some of these things behind the scenes.
Well, first of all, as we're trying to get Trent back in here, first of all, I want to say is to pay someone $90 million and for him to perform like that last year, that was almost a robbery. No, not almost. It was a robbery. If you're going to pay someone $90 million, shouldn't they have, I don't know, a better season than what he did? He got locked up by defenses that weren't that good last year, Zach. I can understand, you get locked up by a team like the Patriots because, their defense is elite. But you got locked up by a kind of injured Eagles team, too. Okay? You also got locked up by, I can't remember the team off the top of my head, but you also got locked up by somebody else as well. I just think this. At the same time, I think Ezekiel Elliott, they should have waited to pay him. We know Dak was needed, and we know Amari Cooper was definitely needed because when you got Amari Cooper, everything opened back up. So now the problem is you got no money because you paid him and you paid Amari Cooper. Dak just took $31 million, which we talked about for weeks, and I don't think that was fair. But $31 million is more than
it's a good amount of money.
It's good enough money for
Still
us.
Good money.
I'd take $31 million any day. But if there's no fans this year, you lose your revenue. Your revenue goes down. So now I will ask you this, Zach, as we're trying to get our guests trying to get back in here. How would you think the Cowboys offseason is going to look like if the Eagles or not the Eagles, if the Cowboys don't have any fans come in to help them pay the money? The cap's going to go down. Jerry Jones' pocket's going to be a little bit thinner this year, which will make me kind of laugh just a little bit because then the Cowboys are going to just be giving off their players because they can't pay for them. They're trying to get Jamal Adams. They don't have no money for Jamal Adams. So what do you think they're going to do, Zach?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you already saw what happened. You lost out on Byron Jones. You can't afford to pay him. And so you never pay your running back before your quarterback. I think that's, Gavin, it's safe to say that we can agree with that. Maybe Derrick Henry could have been an exception, but even then they decided to pay Tannehill instead of Derrick Henry. So, no,
Cowboys. We've seen it once, so we're going to see it again, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, but I got a question for the chat while we're trying to get things set here. Oh, never mind. Chuck's back. Chuck, can you hear us?
I lost. I can't hear again.
Yeah, go ahead, Gavin.
Well, I got a question for the chat. Chuck can't hear us. Chat, what do you guys feel about the whole situation with Dallas? Do you think Dallas is going to lose a lot of players? Do you think Dallas is going to gain any players? What do you think is going to be the problem in Dallas? Me personally, we're going to see it's going to be first come, first serve with the players because you can't pay Leighton Vander Esch if he comes back. We know he has a knee injury or not a neck injury because he technically had so much. Jalen Smith. I think Jalen Smith got his money. DeMarcus Lawrence, you paid DeMarcus Lawrence. I think you did. You
paid him early too. You paid him early too, yeah.
And you also you lose Byron Jones. Your secondary is depleted. You're trying to get Jamal Adams, even though Jamal said he'll wait. But honestly, Jamal, you're not going to get it because there's so many other people.
All right, great. Trent, can you hear us now?
Yeah, we're good now.
All right, great. Again, sorry about that. We should be. Looks like we are good now. So Trent, let's get it from you. What are some of your thoughts on what went wrong in Dallas this year?
So I think I'm gonna blame head coaching. Like I said, we have a young team, three like Dak Prescott in his third or fourth year. Zeke's young. The linebacking core is real young. So I'm gonna blame actually the young players, and then more the coaching. Jason Garrett really is an offensive minded coach, and for about 5 to 6 games before we played the Eagles, we got completely shut out. I think scored maybe 30 points over that 5 games. So I'm gonna have to blame Jason Garrett.
So what are some things maybe specific? Do you think the lack of commitment and lack of consistency to sticking to the run? If you remember the Los Angeles Rams game, that was right before the Eagles game, and they were running the ball over the place. Both Tony Pollard and Zeke easily over 100 yards. Do you think commitment to the run early in games, that's a similar problem that we have in Philly even too, but when you have a guy like Zeke in that backfield, it might be a little bit hard. I don't know how they haven't been able to commit. Is that something that you expect to change this year for Mike McCarthy and the team?
I think it's going to be good for Mike McCarthy to come in because he knows how to handle quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers got out the pocket, and I believe that Dak Prescott has the same capabilities to get out of the pocket and keep the play going. So everybody's putting 8 in the box. You're going to stop Zeke when you first come to Dallas. So if he gets stopped, then we can be able to use Dak more in and out the pocket. And I think the great addition of CeeDee Lamb, which is big on paper, one of the top 5 offenses to me. Michael Gallup's coming into his own, and you still got Mari Cooper out there. So he sees a lot of double teams. So on paper, we should be top 5 on offense. But like I said, we got to wait and see what Mike McCarthy has in plan.
You know, we think about that with Philly. If CeeDee Lamb got drafted to the Eagles, he could have been absorbing cornerback 1 or cornerback 2. There could be a chance that he's getting the third best corner on the field, or depending on him and Michael Gallup, both guys could probably do pretty well against the one cornerback, but that would be Amari Cooper. And so Amari Cooper, since he's been there, it's been pretty sunshine for the Cowboys. Maybe last year definitely got a little dark. But my question now about Amari Cooper, do you think that his mental toughness really could potentially be an issue moving forward?
I don't believe so. I believe a lot of it gets brought out from the medias because they got to pick on something, especially Dallas. Anything goes wrong, you're the first one to hear about it. But if you look at the season he had, he's getting, like I said, double team. You're zoning in on him and Zeke. So basically, Michael Gallup, he's going to have to step into his own. And that's why I think we picked up CeeDee Lamb just to keep that double team off him. Now with CeeDee Lamb, like you said, he might take that X receiver. We can move him to the slot, move Amari to the slot. It's going to be a dynamic offense. And then you still got Zeke back out there, good running pass catch, just good run catch running back. And like I said, this is a big year for Dak. Dak has to step up in my eyes. I think that's the biggest key. I don't think that's why we didn't pay him. And we had to pay Zeke. Zeke was going to sit out. So you had to pay him. I agree with you guys. You never pay your running back before you play your quarterback. But I think in this instance, it was a difference. And I believe that we should have did that. And that's why it was done.
Right. And so my final question before I shift it over to Gavin, I've been pretty adamant about it. I've kind of sent a message to Dak on the show a few times. If you believe in yourself, if you believe that you can go out there and really prove what you're worth, go out there on the tag this year and then get your monster extension after this year. Do you agree with that, or do you think maybe he'll want to even play the field next year if he has a good season? And then even on the end of that, what if he does have a mediocre bad year, 8-8, 9-7, something along those lines, and they miss the playoffs again?
I mean, look at Kirk Cousins. If you really look at the franchise, you're kind of getting paid the same amount. It's just no guarantees, which is in football. So, like I said, I agree with you, Zach. Just play it out, man, because you never know what could happen. If he has the year he should have, he's definitely going to get that bag. So I agree with you. Go ahead and play that franchise tag. The franchise tag is not as bad as for like a so-called a running back or wide receiver than it is for a quarterback. It's what, $30 million guaranteed? That's almost what you're getting as the quarterback if you get a full long-term deal. And then, like you said, it actually hurts your team when, like Gavin said, you can't sign Jamal Adams if we sign Dak. So now we can keep that bridge open. If we want to go out and get somebody, we can go out and get somebody.
Well, you want to go? Yeah.
No, you got it.
So, well, you're right. I think in the long run, you got to also take account of too. Fan revenue is a lot of things. If you got people coming into Jerrysboro, which is a phenomenal stadium, I would like to go there one day and see Eagles game there or something. But you lose a lot of money that way. So you talk about signing Jamal Adams, and I know I mentioned that too. But also you got to think about the guys, trying to stay there or you're trying to bring back too. You might not have enough money to bring them back either. So that's also another factor too.
That's true, but you gotta look at when I look at these things, I look at Bill Belichick and what he does. A lot of players that he had that should have got paid, he got rid of and then brought in somebody else for less, and they become stars. You know what I'm saying? So they have Jamie Collins, one of the top 5 linebackers in the league, and he wanted to get paid, and they send him to Cleveland. Then they go out and grab another running back from, linebacker from Alabama. I forget his name. I think it was Mayo at the time. But sometimes you can't pay everybody. You have to be able to draft and get different players in there for maybe a lesser amount, but you got to pay the big cash cows. And I believe we did that. And like I said, I hope Dak comes out and proves that he should get paid. And then everything was going to be, we should be, my prediction is NFC East or bust champions. But there's tough teams out there. Like I said, I'll never discount the Eagles. I like the Saints, and then I like the 49ers. So those are my top teams, and the Seahawks. Those are my top 5 teams in the NFC. So hopefully it all pans out, but I agree with you, Gav.
You're right. And so I'm gonna switch it up with you. You're a basketball guy. We know for those who may or may not know you, we know what you bring to the basketball court. Most of the times we play 1v1, and you always say, "I'm not built for this." Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my defense has gotten better. So I want to ask you this question. Giannis thinks this year is going to be a really, really tough year to win the championship. Do you agree with this comment?
I do. But I also believe it's kind of beneficial to the younger players because you get time off and they're going to be able to train and be able to recover faster than maybe, let's say, an older player. Not like LeBron. LeBron's just a different breed. But as a Giannis, he's going to be more adaptive than maybe an older team like the Lakers who have older guys. So I do believe this is one of the toughest championships. This never happened where you're just sitting off for about 2 to 3 months and then go play basketball in the playoffs. So it's no really rest. It's going to be straight to it. So I do believe this is going to be one of the toughest championships ever.
No doubt. You can't touch nobody either, and not everybody can go or nor go. And you also lose the fact that you don't have home court advantage or that extra roar. We know how Joel Embiid loves the crowd. We already know how Joel Embiid loves to pump everybody up. So and then Allen Iverson is another big name. So my next question for you is this: you look at how the Sixers are played. You look at how the Sixers are built. Will the Sixers live up to the playoff hype this year?
Man, I hope so. I call this like a lot of teams paper teams. One of my paper teams, as you guys mentioned, was the Celtics. When they got Kyrie on paper, it looks great. Just like the Sixers on paper, Al Horford looked like it was a great fit to teach Embiid. And then as you find out, it always doesn't work like that. And if you think about the Sixers, we lost 2 big pieces, which was Jimmy Butler, which we only had him for a half a season, but that was big. And then JJ Redick, who's one of our top scorers, but also he ran our offense. Basically, we ran the offense through JJ Redick. So I hope they can make the push. I like the team. I like Josh Richardson. I think that was a great pickup. Definitely Glenn Robinson, Alex Burks. And then it's just what Embiid and Simmons, man, they got to step up. I know they're young and this is their time. I know you got to give them time, but those two, man, we run through them too. If them two don't come out and play, it really doesn't matter what the rest of the team does.
No doubt, and I know countless times we talk about it on the show, but we never really thought that their offense. I never put it in perspective that the offense was built around JJ Redick. But I know. So you kind of mentioned Al Horford, and that really goes into my next question. Was Al Horford a really good pickup for the Sixers, or no?
So, like I said, on paper, and you have to realize when we lose Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick, you kind of got to get a Band-Aid or something. You got to go out there. You're the GM. You got to go out there and get somebody. Al Horford is available. He kills Embiid, so it just made sense. Like, let's go get him away from Boston. I was tired of seeing him for 4 games, man. I remember the game winner over Covington to send it to the overtime. So it made sense, like I said, on paper, but it doesn't always work out when you go on the court. I think the league's more switched to a spacing and then him and Embiid, like Al Horford shoots a lot of threes, and as you can see, they haven't been converting. So, and then JJ Redick's out your offense, so you switch your whole offense up. It kind of hurts Ben Simmons because now he doesn't have that fast break. He doesn't have that outlet to kick it to the corner. Like, you know where JJ Redick is going to be. It's kind of him moving by himself. With Tobias Harris is not like a spot-up shooter, and B is not a spot up shooter, and Al Horford is not a spot up shooter. So you lose a spot up shooter when you're a point guard, it really hurts. So I don't want to say it's a bad pickup yet because I don't know what's happened. It's the first year. Anything happened the first year. A lot of teams don't win in the first year. So I got to wait and see. But in my eyes, it kind of does look like a bad pickup.
Now, yesterday, me and Zach were talking off camera. We thought it was kind of Brett Brown that wasn't using this team right. So, do you think Brett Brown falls in a lot in that category of not using Al Horford and Joel Embiid right, or just whole team in general?
Yeah, I think it's Brett Brown's time. Like, I love Brett Brown. I love what he did. He had the trust the process team when we won 11 games. So I think the players are outgrown him, and it happens in the league. Some players are just like, I'm done with this guy. Like, I know he said, Simmons, I need you to shoot 1 3-pointer. And if your player doesn't react to that and shoot 1 3-pointer, you kind of see where the direction is going. I think they love Brett Brown, but I also think that they have a hold on him. So they love him because they can do what they want. And B's on the perimeter. He should be in the paint. So those two, I think they outgrown him. They need a coach who they can respect, but also listen to. So if they brought somebody in like a Doc Rivers is going to play that. So I think like Brad Stevens, he puts his guys in, and him and Kyrie had butted. Him and Kenny Atkinson had butted with Kyrie. I remember y'all was talking about Kyrie earlier. So I think it's Brett Brown's time to leave. I think he's a development players coach, and I think he got the most potential out of him. So that's why I think where Brett Brown is.
Well, I know I've been calling, me and him, we both called for Brett Brown's job to go. I don't like wishing bad on people, but I think the time, it's like when your time is up, buddy. You got to hit the road.
Yeah, I did have one question. I don't know if you ever noticed this, ever going back and just watching it. There's this one play the Sixers run, just a basic screen. JJ Redick would cut around it and then pull up a three right there, usually on one of the elbows. And so this year I watched it similar. Josh Richardson would do it, and I guess wasn't so confident in it. He'd keep going inside, and everything would get messed up. Do you think that Josh Richardson's more of his aggressiveness to be more of a dominant playmaker when he scores 25, 30 points a game, the Sixers do great? And so do you think he really could potentially be that X factor and that potential key to success moving forward?
I do believe he has the potential to have success. I believe he's in the wrong situation. So I believe the Sixers need a scorer, somebody who can say, like, here, go, I'm going to give you the ball, isolation, you go score, like a Damian Lillard type. So that's where I believe where it's wrong. And I know that play, they run the pin down, come off Embiid. That's JJ Redick's play. JJ Redick either shoots, drives, drops into Embiid. He gets it at the free throw line, and at time to attacks late. So I see what you're talking about. I believe he's a great player. I just don't believe that's his best suit in the offense. He's more of I get the ball after the play and then make a decision, where JJ Redick, he's coming off that pin down. If you overcommit, he's dribbling one, he's pulling up. Or if you cover that, he's dropping it off to Embiid because now you have to help. So I like Josh Richardson. I think that was a great pickup, great contract. I believe he's just in the wrong situation. We need somebody who can score, and we're trying to make that of him, and I don't think that's his game.
Well, he's a great defender. We talked about this team yesterday. We talked about they can guard 1 through 5. Our great friend Philly also said Ben Simmons can guard 1 through 5. So we have a lot of guys that can guard everywhere. And so now I'm going to switch airs. Allen Iverson. All right, we already know 2001 NBA Finals Game 1. Great game. We already know Mr. MVP, trendsetter, you want to say, who changed the whole league and style and everything. Him and Dennis Rodman arguably changed how the league is looking played. So first of all, my first question for you is, where does Allen Iverson rank all time, and where would you put Allen Iverson in Sixers? You think he's the best Sixer to ever play, or no?
So all time, I have him top 50. I have him personally in top 20. What I'm not going to do is 60s and 70s, never really saw that. So I don't put them in my top, and it's no disrespect to them. They were probably great. Like, I didn't see Bill Russell, saw a little bit of Kareem late in the 80s. I start from the 80s till now. So top all time, I would do top 50. I would do top 20. That's biased. I'll agree. That's biased. But there's a lot of great players. Like I said, it would be hard. It would be great to sit down and actually see all these players, because I remember they had the top 50 when Allen Iverson might have been in his second All-Star game. He met Michael Jordan. So on that point, I have him top 20 in my personal eyes. all-time Sixers, I just looked this up, and I have him over Julius Erving, but Julius Erving basically has better stat line, better statistics. With Allen Iverson, it's more of transcending the game, which he was in my own backyard. So just to see little things like cornrows, arm sleeve, headband, leg sleeves, he started all that. The crazy dress apparel, the retro jerseys with the chains, and then NBA was like, you guys got to go back to the suit. So he transcended the game in which a way where you're going to remember it like that. So without him, if you look at basically the start of the 90s, how the point guard was looked at, the point guard wasn't really looked at to go get scoring. You had your John Stocktons, Isaiah Thomases. They were more facilitate the game at the point. Allen Iverson came, him and Larry Brown changed the game where they were like, you go score. So then you guys, without him, you won't have a lot of guys. I don't know if we see Steph Curry launching from 30 feet because a point guard was supposed to facilitate. You have a Gilbert Arenas, Baron Davis, Steve Francis. The list goes on. Russell Westbrook. The list goes on and on at the point guard position. So transcending the game is big with me with Allen Iverson. That's why I love him. Like the crossover. You might not even get a Kyrie crossover, all that. He transcended the game where he was pretty much everybody's favorite. You pretty much wear 3 right now. You're wearing it for Allen Iverson. Chris Paul, I was just watching him, and he said Allen Iverson, he had the cornrows, all of that. So that's where I look at Allen Iverson, just transcended the game in a way where he really changed the game.
Yeah, no, Transcender changed the game off the court, and I feel like him and Dennis Rodman kind of were the change. Before, you never would see players with that many tattoos and different hair colors. I'm being honest, like you wouldn't see that. It was kind of boring. Not I don't want to say boring because the games are fantastic. But when you looked at the guys on the court, Michael Jordan in the documentary, always in the suit. Dennis Rodman wasn't always in the suit.
Have your dress on sometimes.
Had the dress on.
I get what
Dennis.
you mean. It's definitely just how the game changed. There's different ways to look at it. You can look at the pure talent on the court. You can look at what happens off the court. It's how the game changes. Like you mentioned, like Steph Curry shooting the ball, like guys like Damian Lillard who just take the ball to the cup. Usually you're seeing guys facilitate, like you mentioned, John Stockton, one of the great passers in the game, even Steve Nash, Magic Johnson, even who was one of the bigger point guards. But no, I agree. I think that guy Allen Iverson really changed the game, and I think I consider him, considering his height, pound for pound, potentially was the best player of all time for each inch of him, because he was not one of the taller guys. And you can see some smaller guys now in the game who are able to do some great things. And so I think for a player like him, he has great talent. It's a shame he wasn't able to get the right team around him at the right time. He took Eric Snow and all them and the late season acquisition of Dikembe Mutombo to the finals and put up a good fight in game 1. I remember, Gavin, we were talking to a teacher from our school who had an opportunity to be at game 5 when they lost at, I guess it was the Spectrum back then they were at, or maybe with Wachovia. So I think that it's definitely unique. He's a unique player, and so my question, I think you may have answered it already, is who would you consider as the closest player to AI today?
Today, closest player off the court, probably Russell Westbrook. He transcends the game with the dress. Everybody loves Russell Westbrook. Just the attitude. Russell Westbrook doesn't take games off, so definitely big on Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook definitely changed the game off the court. On the court, I would have to go with Curry. Like I said, transcended the game, shooting from 30 feet. Allen Iverson with the crossover, just scoring. Like, your point guards wasn't looked at to go and try to get 50 points. Allen Iverson trying to go get 50 points. Led the league in steals. Both of them did that. I think Allen Iverson did twice. I want to say Steph Curry did that first year in his MVP. So on the court, I would definitely say Steph Curry just transcended the game. Now point guards, without Stephen Curry, you might not see a Trae Young. Damian Lillard came in the league around the same time as Curry. Now Damian Lillard pulls from 35 feet. So on the court, I would definitely say Steph Curry. Yeah, him too. Like I said, you might not see that without Steph Curry.
So now this is a debate that we argued the whole last 10 minutes of the show. Every day, every time. Even when I'm trying to talk about the debate, it happens.
Finds way in.
So we had Dom, our good buddy Dom, on the show. He said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's a great advocate, or not advocate,
It's a different perspective.
Yeah, different perspective. Zach goes with LeBron James for the GOAT debate. I go with Michael Jordan. So we wondered, who do you like? in this debate? Who's your GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time in your eyes?
Me personally is MJ. Just everything he's done. You got the sneakers, tongue out, Gatorade, all that. So, and it's also I have to put a lot into it. He did it first, differently than everybody else. And I was about to say, shout out to Dom. Dom's my guy. I could see Kareem just he won this amount. You can go Bill Russell. Bill Russell won 12 if you really look at it. But me personally, like MJ, when I was younger coming up, like I said, I seen him in the later years. I was still a young buck, but the sneakers, like I said, the tongue out, ball heads, like Allen Iverson with the cornrow, ball heads was in fashion. LeBron wears 23. I think that hurts him a lot, but way he transcended the game on the court, you can go replicate it off the court. With LeBron, I don't argue with, if you say LeBron, I'm perfectly fine with it. LeBron transcended the game more for the players, so we can't really personally grasp that, like with the contracts, the Nike, the way he does the social media platform. I say LeBron's the greatest athlete of all time in just on and off the court, just got his friends on. So LeBron's the greatest athlete, but the greatest basketball player, I'm gonna have to go with MJ.
So, I want to. So you made a valid point. I think LeBron is a better athlete, but I'm gonna take it deeper. I think LeBron's also a great leader. In the social justice issues, as soon as something goes down, LeBron James is right on it.
Off the court issues,
off the court is a big thing. The I Promise School. Me personally, I would love to go to I Promise School, not because LeBron did it. I know those kids are going to be set. I know those kids have a great future if it's coming from LeBron James, especially coming out of that school, and also things he's done for the city of Akron, Ohio. But we also talk about Michael Jordan in the documentary. You probably watched it.
Of course.
So there was a chance where Michael Jordan could have, what was it? Advertised
endorsement.
Yeah, endorsement. Advertised
the governor.
Yeah. So do you think does that hurt Michael Jordan a little bit in his role in activism and leadership, or not at all?
See, and I think, like I said, that's why I got LeBron greatest athlete. When I say athlete, on and off the court, just perfect. You can't really. When Michael Jordan explained, if you really listen, you can't really make somebody who doesn't want to be in that position. So as a basketball player, Michael Jordan really didn't want that position. He wanted more focus on basketball. And that's why I say he's the GOAT on the court. On the court, basketball wise, I don't believe it hurts him. It hurts me personally because I wish he would have did it. But like I said, on the court, I can't make somebody do something that they don't want to do at that time. And it's like I said, he's a person. Everybody's a person. That's why I understand what he's saying. Like I said, it hurts, but I understand what he's doing because not all people are built for that. And just because he was the greatest player at that time, it's like you should do that. And that's not for everybody. So I agree with what you're saying. Like I said, it hurts personally, but not everybody's built for that type of platform or that's what they feel comfortable doing. So that's why he did it.
And that's one thing, too, you can always discuss as far as what LeBron's done to change the game. Maybe now if MJ – I don't think MJ would have that much of a problem now if he was playing the game. Well, yes, he wants to focus on basketball, but basketball itself has evolved and continues to change all the time for the better, we hope, as far as social justice reform and things like that. So I think I feel like the pressure was more on him. It wasn't that common back then to be outspoken about things. Like you mentioned, you wish he did do it. And so, but I mean, definitely times are definitely different. And one thing I want to touch on from a point you mentioned earlier, I'm not so fond on LeBron's choice of 23 because it does kind of always will hinder to MJ. And so I loved number 6 LeBron. It was 4 years long, but I mean he's supposed to switch to 6 this year, I'm pretty sure, and give AD 23, but Nike wouldn't let him. So I'm all for number 6 LeBron. I think the number definitely does damage him. My argument always has been repeated success, as far as obviously the finals record is not pretty, but repeated success with different coaches, different teammates, different circumstances, and different mess of front offices. And like you mentioned, off the court as well. That's more my argument for it. So, and like I mentioned, I'm not overly fond of his jersey number, but it's not. It's definitely not something that's going to be tainting enough to the point where my opinion is going to change. I mean, Gavin wishes I did though.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Everybody's entitled to have their opinion. That's one thing that's wrong with this country is it's this way and that way only. And we got to learn that everybody can have their different opinions, but as long as we listen to each other, that's why we created this.
Absolutely.
But since we got 5 minutes left, and I know this wasn't on our agenda, the topic list, but the Mount Rushmore, or I'm not even going to say the Mount Rushmore, your top 5
Maybe starting five.
Your all-time starting five. We're all gonna go through it. Trent, you go first.
All right, start off with the bias. Allen Iverson at the point. I don't care what nobody says. I'm gonna start off with the bias. At the 2, I'm gonna go with Kobe. At the 3, I don't care if he don't play the position. I'm going with MJ. At the 4, I'm going with LeBron. And then at the 5, I'm going with Shaq, most dominant player I've ever seen.
All right, lose me, Gavin. I don't know. Should I take your point guard or what? I'm gonna go with Steph at 1. I need that spacing. Number 2, I'm putting MJ. I put number 3. I'm gonna put LeBron there, and then I'm gonna have a unique twist to it. I'm putting Kareem at the 4 and Wilt at the 5. I think that'd be an interesting touch to it. You figure Wilt can get the rebounds and kick it out to a guy like Curry and even MJ, even LeBron as well. LeBron can facilitate. Kareem's going to do the hook shot more, and if needed, Wilt definitely has no problem scoring. So I'd say that's my starting 5. I mean, you can argue Kareem for the power forward position, and then LeBron obviously at the small forward. So that's what my starting 5 would be.
Solid.
Well, you took my point guard.
You can take him.
I can take him.
I know I stated that. So
look, no disrespect to Magic Johnson at all. Now Magic Johnson may be the best point guard of all time. Showtime is his nickname always. But for me personally, I gotta go Steph Curry. Like you said, Zach, the spacing. Personally, I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan. Obviously 6-0. You know, best to ever do it. Best basketball player to ever do it. Now I know he's not as small forward. I know he doesn't play that position that much. I'm gonna go Tracy McGrady. I like the game that T-Mac brought. I like the game T-Mac brought. You know, he brought a little bit of shooting, brought a little bit of everything. He brought a little flavor. His defense was on there too. Not a lot of people like to throw T-Mac in that conversation. And Trent, after this, I'm gonna ask you this as well. But not a lot of people like to throw T-Mac in that conversation. At power forward for me, I'm gonna go LeBron, and I think for center you gotta go for my personal opinion, the best center to ever do it. Because there was no stopping him with Shaquille O'Neal. So Trent, let me go back to you. Let me go back to this. You and Zach can be on this as well. T-Mac, you taught me about T-Mac. Obviously, the poster I had, everything. I looked up T-Mac a little more. Where would you put T-Mac in all time?
Top 50, more of the back end to the 30 through 50, just because of the injuries and he got hurt. But at his prime, like top scorer regardless. 6'8", could shoot, can pass, could dribble. Pretty much, he was a bucket. Back in the NBA, that was the highlight when you just had basically everybody had their players, and that was the best time. You had Vince out there, you had Kobe and Shaq, you had T-Mac in Orlando, AI in Philly, Baron Davis. Oh man, it was just every night was just basically 1-on-1, just one guy going after the other. So that's why our T-Mac is, like I said, injuries cut his career short, like I said, but at the time, he had a scoring championship. Never really got to play with Grant Hill. I would have loved to see that. Both of them were injured. Grant Hill was just trying to come back from the torn Achilles, never did. And then him and Yao was hurt or he was hurt. It was like a flip-flop. Whatever one came back, the other one got hurt. But T-Mac, yeah, especially after Allen Iverson got traded, it was like my girlfriend broke up with me. I didn't want to know parts of the Sixers, and I didn't want to see him on the Nuggets. So it was like a bad breakup. Like you didn't want to see that, so I fell in love with T-Mac at that point. But yeah, T-Mac 6'8", can do it all, man. Him and Kobe used to go at it. It was one of the greatest matchups I ever seen. So I love T-Mac, and just for that reason, like I said, smooth. He was like killer, and it was just great.
And so I got one more question for you here as we wrap it up. And so I mean, there's 2 guys up there. I mean, one's probably definitively taking over that, but greatest shooter of all time.
Stephen Curry, greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry. Right behind him, Ray Allen, and then you can throw Reggie Miller, Klay Thompson in there. But what Steph Curry does is unbelievable because he can do it off his own shot. And if he's spotting up, it's basically a knockdown. So your whole defense when you play the Warriors before Kevin Durant came. That's why I need to see Curry come back. I don't have him over Damian Lillard right now. And I want to see it. I believe he has it. He has 2 MVPs, but like I said, Steph Curry, man, pull up from 35. If it's a spot up, you basically, if you're watching the game, you know it's good. And like I said, can create his own shot. So Stephen Curry, man, by far.
Well, you're right. Damian Lillard, Steph Curry. I think the only knock you can maybe say against Steph Curry is his defense. Maybe it's getting better.
It's underrated.
It's
I think
underrated a little bit sometimes.
part of the
especially still,
dynasty.
Part of the dynasty. But
Mhm.
yeah. Well, real quick, I know we gotta go, but best football player of all time in your eyes. Who's your favorite? Where do you go? Okay. Can't hear.
Can't.
Can't hear you. Here, type us what's your favorite. Type us your favorite one.
Gavin, you want to go? Let's see what you have.
For me, it's Sean Taylor. Obviously, Sean Taylor was the guy that sadly got killed in a little home invasion in his own house. Career got cut short. Trent, if you're still here with us, type me what your favorite all-time football player is. I could have said most like Randy Moss, but if you want me to go defensively, it's Sean Taylor. Now, if you want to go offensively, me personally, my favorite player all time has to be Randy Moss. I know I just mentioned that, but
Offensive
Moss,
player, Randy Moss.
offensive player and defensive player is Sean Taylor. Trent, who's your favorite offensive player all time and defensive player all time?
Are we doing personal favorites or like all time GOAT?
Personal favorites.
Personal favorite, Michael Vick, easily. Man, what he used to do on the field was you just never seen nothing like it. Kind of seen it in Cam Newton, but what he was doing, it was just unbelievable. Like the 5-yard dive. You have the Eagles with the comeback with the Miracle Land, the 80-yard bomb to Jerry Maclin. Just never seen that. Him and Randy Moss. Randy Moss is too, but never seen nothing like that from Michael. Like just transcended the game. It was just like Lamar Jackson's kind of doing it now, but Michael Vick was. I love must-watch see football games. When Michael Vick was on, it was must see. Never knew what he was going to do.
What about defense for you?
Defense, I like Sean Taylor. I definitely do like the Sean Taylor. I would have to go. I'm biased. I'm a cornerback guy, so I didn't really see prime time. I love prime time. I would go with prime time, but just cornerback wise, who I really got to see, I like Patrick Peterson, man. I like Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson is a guy who doesn't get brought up a lot, but when I remember he came out of LSU, he was just a shutdown corner, man. I love shutdown corners. I love corners who are going. They're matching up with whoever you go, he's going. Doesn't get a lot of respect. I love any top 5 corners, but I love Patrick Peterson, man.
For me, I think I'm going to go with agreeing with Philly. Brian Dawkins, number 1. Again, a little biased being an Eagles fan, but I mean, Dawkins was insane during his day. Sean Taylor, again, right next to him. Currently in the league, you mentioned lockdown corners. I'm a huge Stephon Gilmore fan. I think he's a great man-on-man coverage corner. Currently, I'd say he's my favorite. Again, Patrick Peterson really has had a little bit of an underrated career, but he's done a lot of great things. Again, prime times are fantastic. He did it all back in the day. I wish we still had guys kind of like that in the league, like Taysom Hill. But on the offensive side, I mean, this is a question I've never really been asked before. I can't really come up with a definitive answer. I think back to exciting players like Randall Cunningham back in the day. I think Tom Brady's the GOAT. He got 6 championships. It's kind of hard to argue that one. But guys like Randall Cunningham were fun to watch. Again, Michael Vick, unfortunately, his middle of his career was a little bit low for him. But, I mean, he had a lot of natural talent, considering if he really studied the playbook and really kept his eyes on it, he would have been a better player. And so I hope to see Lamar Jackson kind of be what Michael Vick could have been. I think it was pretty inspiring to see. So Gavin, you have another final statement?
Yeah. Randy Moss for me, it's just exciting to watch. All the you literally get Moss. The nickname is what they call people nowadays. But Michael Vick also, once again, also phenomenal player to look at. For me, also too, you say Barry Sanders, but I'm gonna go on the defensive side. Lawrence Taylor was a really good one too. Lawrence Taylor was a monster. Philly, same thing for me. But yeah.
And I did have one more. I think Megatron. It's a shame that Detroit's such a terrible organization, but I have to bring that one up. It's unfortunate his career wasn't as perfect as it could have been, but definitely I think Megatron, Calvin Johnson was a great player. And we got one more statement about Julio Jones too. I still see potentially as another great guy as his career continues to evolve. Hopefully he can get his ring at some point. But Julio Jones really does it all currently. But Megatron definitely for my wide receiver pick. Gavin?
Trent, anything else you would like to anything on football, basketball, baseball, anything? I know we didn't cover baseball with you, maybe another day, but anything?
Nah, just man, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys. And like I said, happy birthday to Gav. And like I said, keep doing your thing, man. I love it, man. The young culture moving forward. Keep it going, man. I love what you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate it. I don't know if you know, but part of the show is, to try to unite in a tough situation that's going on in the world. One thing that brings us all together is sports. We built this show to unite, have fun, and also, just hopefully bring people on and have
Definitely.
them come on and have some fun and unite together and share the story. But yeah, man, thank you for the birthday wish. Don't go nowhere. Don't go anywhere yet. We're gonna talk after the show a little bit. But Zach,
Hold
anything
up. Coach Keith said you gotta have him on the show. Coach Keith said you gotta
Coach
have him on the
Keith,
show.
if you can hear me, Coach Keith, we're ready.
Confirmed, coming
We're
on
ready.
soon. Talking a lot of basketball. I'm sure you'll have a good conversation with us about Cleveland, as well as LeBron James, all that. So again, Trent, thanks for being on. It's the first time, certainly not the last time, but for all of our viewers,
Thank you.
take a look at the links in the description if you're interested in helping us out. We also have our awesome Teespring products. We'll hopefully have ours next week or the week after to show off to you. Again, everybody, thanks for being on, and we hope to see you all Monday at 12.
Everybody, thanks for the birthday wishes. Thanks for coming out here having fun with me, Trent, and Zach. Man, 17 is a big year. We're looking turning a grown adult next year. It's crazy. Trent, I'm gonna go back. You said it makes you feel old. Man, I woke up this morning, I heard a couple cracks. It didn't sound too perfect.
No, ain't nothing
I
wrong.
was
Nothing
over-
wrong with you.
I think I did good. But I heard a couple cracks, man. But thanks to everybody for the birthday wishes and those who were here. Thanks for coming and rocking with us. Hope you can like this, share with your friends, and come back with us next time. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
And donate. Help us out.